Hello, everybody. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I'm Andy Signor, and this was an interesting headline that I see getting taken out of context by some sites this morning. So I wanted to break it down because I think it's worth talking about. Terminator Dark Fate, a lot of you hated it. I get it, but I don't think it was Linda Hamilton's fault. I did like her inclusion in the film, and I liked parts of the movie. I think as time dies down, it's not the worst of the Terminator movies. At the same time, I understand why some of the choices upset Terminator fans. So, Hollywood Reporter met with Linda Hamilton to talk about this and other issues. And the headline going around is Linda Hamilton would be quite happy to never return to Terminator, which sounds like she's not very happy with Terminator. But that's a lie. She is happy. She liked the experience working with Tim Miller. She was proud of the film, but she's just sort of over everything else. So there's a lot of sort of little quick quotes that are being pulled. But I thought let's go through this interview because it is sort of interesting now that some time has passed and there's a lot of strong feelings about Dark Fate. I like Linda Hamilton. I liked her Sarah Connor coming back. Let's see what she had to say. So let's hear it. So I don't know if you buy it, a lot of adjectives that are out about you and how it really set the bar for how multiple dimensional female characters are written and portrayed in genre cinema. How and when did it first become apparent to you that Sarah had transcended the first two movies? Within a half a year of Judgment Day's release, there was still such a stir about how I looked. At this point, I was going, put that down. There was so much else that I did for that part. The strength, the build of the body, whatever, had clearly captured the imaginations on quite a global level. So that was when I realized that at least was going to linger for a long time, which is just talking about how buff and muscular and crazy, it was intense. Dark Fate is unique, has three generations of women looking out for each other. Behind the scenes, it looked like you really had a genuine bond on set. Was that sisterhood the most valuable takeaway from this experience? Yes, I've never felt as united with my actors that I've worked with ever until these two ladies. That was a bond forged in fire. It really took, we leaned on each other hard. I love them as actors, I love them as ladies, and I love them as women that are fierce, intelligent, informed, and considerate of the earth. They're just a blessing. And I think you have to put Tim Miller in there too. It was really Tim and the three muses. Tim was very much a part of that relationship. At any given moment, two of us were hugging, and if there was room for a third, we were like, that truly, it sounds silly, I know, but we wouldn't have made it without him, that's for sure. We've heard this a lot. They all came back. She came back because Tim Miller, look, he was passionate about this. He believed in it, whether you liked it or not. It was Tim's vision. James Cameron's decision to kill John Connor at the beginning of Dark Fate was very controversial amongst certain fans. But to me, there really isn't a movie if Sarah isn't fueled by her rage and hatred for Terminators. Plus, after 5 movies with John as a focal point, I think the franchise needed to forge a new path without them. I also tend to believe that Sarah wouldn't join the fight if her and John were both alive and well. So where do you stand on the decision to kill John? Leading question, but still, Linda takes that. It's a very good point you said. I don't think Sarah and John would be there at all if they were still fine and strong. I thought it was a great leaping off point for my character to create a new fuel and fire for Sarah Connor. I thought it was a very good story point. I'm not one that clings to the past ideas. Judgment Day is about John, but John wouldn't exist without Sarah. Then something else would happen and Sarah will have to die. This is kind of the nature of life, and I would like that to be the nature of franchises where it's not just the same story retold each time. I think it's much more interesting to launch from a new space. Interviewer then asked, once John was killed, Sarah's life took a pretty dark turn and she hunted Terminators and drank herself to sleep. Given how bleak this backstory is, how deep did you go as far as fleshing out this period of Sarah's life in order to play her in the present? I went as deep and as hard as I could with my body, my mind, spirit for a year before we started. I've never gone darker or deeper for so long. I haven't been acting that much, so a whole year was a luxury to train my body and my mind. While walking my dog, I would figure out Sarah Connor's walk or go to all of my places of the deepest sorrow, regret, guilt, and everything that a mother that didn't protect her son would feel. You have to go there, but I really made sure that I had her locked down before I showed up on set. Emotionally, it just did sort of creep into my personality a little bit as we were playing her. That really doesn't happen. That really doesn't happen, but when you live in such a fierce, dark fighter place, I found myself a couple times going, I'm sorry, that's Sarah Connor coming out. But when I was taking my first meeting with Skydance, I said to them, do you know Monique and Precious? And that scene at the end where her rage comes out in her amazing Oscar-worthy performance, I want that somewhere in the script. I wanted that level of just bitter truth and rage coming out. I wanted a Monique moment, so that's what we were going for. Look, that's intense. Daniel Day-Lewis style method acting of really living in the dark despair for a year. Takes a toll. Look, that's some actors need. I always sort of wondered, really? You just can't just do it a little bit. But it sounds like she had fun on set with these people. Like it wasn't complete dark despair, but man, she really bit in on this. And that's why, look, I thought she was great in this. And that's why I like her as an actor. I liked her in Terminator 2, Terminator 1, Beauty and the Beast. Come on, Linda Hamilton rocks. I've heard you talk about how the script took a while, especially when it came to figuring out who Sarah was all these years later. To your knowledge, was there ever a point where Sarah sacrificed herself? No, there was never a version of that I heard of. It was always Grace being the most human, even though she's augmented. She was being the real human being in the story, with the rest of us having glimpses. The Terminator is more human. Sarah Connor has to become more human, but it was always Grace sacrificing herself. And honestly, this was the part I liked. I liked that the Terminators actually logically sort of came back to doing the right thing, knowing that, whether that's right or wrong, and the humans were the one that were in the dark place that couldn't move on. I thought there were some really intense, interesting themes in Dark Fate that people just want to ignore because they're like, well, it doesn't make sense because they killed John Connor. But as even Linda Hamilton's acknowledging, you had to do that. What else do you do? I mean, I guess you could have done a version where they're old, but then you don't bring back Sarah Connor. You bring back an older John Connor, which is sort of salvation, right? That wasn't the choice they wanted to make. Look, some people didn't like it. They're still not going to like it. I get it. You've talked a lot about your reservations in playing the character again. After so many years and how you owed her more than anyone else, was there a specific moment on set where you felt like Sarah again for the first time? It wasn't the first day on set. That was terrible. My hand was shaking all over a close-up with a gun. I was like, what's going on? This is not Sarah Connor. So it was not just the first day jitters, as there were so many extenuating circumstances. I probably first felt like her a couple weeks in because I just done so much weapons training and military training, physical training for a year before that, eating nothing that tasted good for a year and doing all my internal work. So literally the first time I put the costume on for some of our camera tests, I walked out and people were falling down with joy going, oh my God, she's back. I had a pretty good blueprint for her by the time I showed up on set. And now here we go to the point of what most people are pulling out as the main point of our article here. Dark Fate reviews were quite positive. Unfortunately, good reviews don't always influence the box office. While my fingers are crossed that the story continues, it won't. Are you at least optimistic about potentially playing Sarah again? No. Something says to me, I don't know. I would really appreciate maybe a smaller version where so many millions are not at stake. That would be cool too. Today's audience is just so unpredictable. I can't tell you how many laymen just go, well, people don't go to the movies anymore. That's not Hollywood analysis. That just comes out almost everybody's mouth. It should definitely not be such a high-risk financial venture, but I would be quite happy to never return. But I would be quite happy to never return. That's the big quote that's being pulled. So no, I'm not hopeful because I would really love to be done. But if there were something new that really spoke to me, I'm a logical person and I will always consider viable changes. So look, I love the honesty. She's like, look, I did it. I'm done. Proud of what I did. It clearly wasn't a success because of financial and people were upset. So I'm good. I did it. Let's move on. I'm done with it. Let me age in peace, work when I want to work. But she's acknowledging if something spoke to her, she's logical, like most people should be. Never say never is what she's saying there. So, look, I thought that was interesting. I still think Dark Fate is not a perfect film by any stretch of the imagination, but I had more fun with it than a lot of people did. I stand by it. I think as compared to the other sequels, it just was better for me. Does it compare to the first two? No. Did we need it? No. Was it nice to see her back? I think so. Was it nice to see Arnold back in that new role? I liked him a lot in that movie. Was there parts of it that didn't need? And do I need two more? No. So there we are with Terminator. I think Terminator does need to die a slow death. It's run its course, even with Cameron's involvement. And then how much was he really involved is sort of now the debate because it feels like Cameron's throwing Miller under the bus. Miller's trying to throw Cameron under the bus. And I hope Tim Miller gets to do some more work and this doesn't become a stink on his record because I think Tim Miller is a very talented director. Beyond just Deadpool, I give him respect for standing up and trying to do this very difficult movie. But like I said, even then, when he told us that when I was back in my Hollywood days, we all asked him, like, why would you do this one? This is such damaged goods. And he was so excited on the idea. He was passionate about it. He believed in it. And I could see it on screen. So that might be part of the reason. I can see when a passionate filmmaker really cares and is putting all of his energy on there to create a fun set and everyone's excited to be there and you're doing the best work you can. Sometimes it still doesn't fulfill what the audience wants, and that is what it is. But I think Linda Hamilton put it right there. Will it come back? No. And she's right. It's too expensive nowadays. Could they have done a new TV series with her or something, like a limited run on one of these streaming services? Probably. Could it have been better? probably. That movie Dark Fate probably would have been better suited as a 8 episode series. Probably less intense action, focus on that. But look, I'll agree. Jeremy Johns gave a fantastic review of Dark Fate. He made very valuable. If you want to watch, if you hated it and you didn't watch that yet, go check his review out because it was spot on. But at the same time, I still enjoyed it. Would I have preferred to see a version with John Connor still there? I think so. But then what? They won. They won. If you don't reset the clock and say, well, no, a new Terminator came back and it's all adjusted, then what do you do? Tell me down below. If someone has got a cool Terminator pitch, let's hear it. Hit me up on social media if you have any other thoughts. More videos coming soon. And Netflix tonight, speaking of series, we'll be debating, should TV shows be binged or scheduled weekly? What's the better way to watch TV these days? So tune in to Nerd Wars tonight, 9 p.m. Lots more content coming soon. So be sure to subscribe, join if you'd like to support this channel. And thanks so much for watching, everybody. Hit the like button, engage. All that stuff helps all your favorite creators. Thanks, everybody. Bye. Hasta la vista, baby. I should have said that first.